Exclusive.
A high school community in Philadelphia was left heartbroken after a 14-year-old student was killed in an ambush shooting that injured 4 other teens following a football scrimmage. Nicholas Elizalde was remembered as a special kid by his aunt and uncle who returned to Roxborough High School to pick up a car they left there amid the chaos. Elizalde and another Saul student were among a group of teens who were leaving a joint football scrimmage when 5 shooters emerged from a car and unleashed more than 60 shots. Saul High School does not have a football team, but their students are allowed to play for Roxborough High School. The 4 teens injured in the shooting are expected to physically recover. The Philadelphia Police Department shared chilling video of the shooting, saying one of the shooters stood over a victim and continued to fire his weapon until he ran out of bullets. In connection to the shooting, the arrest of a former Philadelphia sheriff deputy on gun trafficking charges was drawing outrage from the families of gun crime victims and gun control advocates alike. Federal officials allege Samir Ahmad was charged after selling 2 handguns to a confidential informant on October 13th while he was employed as a deputy sheriff in Philadelphia. According to documents, both of the firearms sold during that transactions were traced by law enforcement and were found to have been used in the September 12th shooting in Roxborough that killed a 14-year-old boy and injured 4 other students. Ahmad allegedly made $3,000 in that sale of firearms and ammunition. Ahmad is the son of the late anti-violence advocate Sultan Ahmad Jr., who founded the Sultan Jihad Ahmad Community Foundation after his 15-year-old son was gunned down in 1992. Making the 1-month anniversary of her son Nicholas Elizalde's killing, Meredith Elizalde, holding back tears, declined comment Friday on the phone, but the boy's grandmother said she was outraged by the photo. Adam Garber of Ceasefire PA commented on the tragedy, saying,
"It's shocking when one of the people who's supposed to keep us safe is found to be trafficking the weapons, causing so much damage in our community. These weapons are durable, that once they're out there in the community, they'll get sold and traded again and again, and more lives will be lost."
Samir Ahmad was arrested on October 19th, and his employment status with the Philadelphia Police Office was terminated. As alleged, Samir Ahmad abused his authority to the greatest extent possible as a sworn law enforcement officer. So says Jacqueline C. Romero. She go on to say, the defendant was allegedly illegally selling firearms on the streets to at least one person who was not permitted to possess them, adding fuel to the already incendiary fire of deadly gun violence in the city of Philadelphia. Working with our law enforcement partners, we are doing all that we can to investigate and prosecute those responsible for the violence. The Philadelphia Sheriff's Office released a statement on Twitter saying that he was serving a 30-day notice of intent to dismiss. Samir Ahmed had been with the Sheriff's Office since February of 2018. The investigation is still ongoing.
This is a picture of Philadelphia Sheriff's Deputy Samir Ahmad. In federal court documents unsealed today, a screenshot from a hidden camera worn by an FBI informant on October 13th. The FBI and the ATF believe the gun in his hands was used in the deadly Roxborough High School shooting back in September. The FBI's informant purchased that gun and another from Ahmad that day. The court filings did not provide further information as to how Deputy Ahmad received the guns traced back to the shooting. There is also nothing in court filings that link Ahmad to the Roxborough shooting, and Philadelphia police have not released his name as a suspect. Last Wednesday, Deputy Ahmad was arrested at the Philadelphia Sheriff's Office for firearms trafficking and selling a firearm to that informant who was a non-U.S. citizen. The sheriff's office tells us the same day they served Ahmad with an intent to dismiss in 30 days' notice. Federal law enforcement agents had been investigating Deputy Ahmad since April, according to court records. That's when the criminal complaint says Ahmad sold a separate gun, this revolver, unknowingly to that same confidential source for the FBI.
And tonight we're getting new details on the 4 suspects. These are pictures of 3 of them. A 5th suspect, after all of these months, still has not been captured.
3 Philadelphia police homicide detectives called to the stand by prosecutors outlined extensive evidence that led to the arrests of 15-year-old Troy Fletcher, 21-year-old Yassine Bivens, 17-year-old Zahid Jones, and 16-year-old Salim Miller for the deadly shooting outside Roxborough High School. 14-year-old Nicholas Elizalde was killed and 4 others wounded as they were walking out of a football scrimmage September 27th. The detectives' testimony went into detail about the Ford Explorer used in the deadly shooting and the infotainment system inside. Detectives say that system linked 16-year-old Dayron Bernie Thorne's cell phone, who investigators still have not located and arrested. Detectives testified a search warrant of Bernie Thorne's phone led them to the numbers of the 4 other defendants, and evidence recovered from all 4 phone numbers placed them at the scene at Roxborough High School. Detectives also testified about the use of DNA, saying DNA found on a bag of marijuana left at the Roxborough scene matched with Zahid Jones, and a latex glove in the Ford matched to Salim Miller. Additional DNA and fingerprint evidence is still pending. Detectives also testified ballistic evidence recovered at the scene showed 2 of the 5 guns used in the Roxborough shooting matched the ballistics in the deadly shooting of 19-year-old Tamir Jones the day before, and that investigators were able to link Zahid Jones and Troy Fletcher to Tamir Jones' murder through evidence including cell phone records and video surveillance that showed the pair wearing similar clothing items in the Roxborough shooting. Defense attorneys tried to poke holes in the cell phone records and recover DNA, but a judge ultimately decided to uphold all charges. The big question not answered in court: what was the motivation behind both of the deadly shootings? Again, 16-year-old Dayron Bernie Thorne still wanted tonight on murder and related charges for the Roxborough shooting and the murder of Jones the day before. New today, prosecutors also confirmed they are looking for a 6th individual in that Roxborough shooting, the alleged driver of the Ford Explorer. That person has not been identified.
I want to say that I was sad to hear the news, but it's something that's happening all around the city. It's getting out of control, so it wasn't uncommon to get a phone call like that. Just wasn't something that you wanted to hear.
I don't know who's missing the conversation, but we just have to keep doing as much as we possibly can, because again, this at this point you just couldn't. We don't need to keep having these conversations, and something has to stop, and we're going to work together to figure that out. But it has to be immediate because this can't continue.